Today on the channel, it's the return of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, and today on the channel, we're breaking the mold as we're counting down my favorite G.I. Joe Bat figures of all time.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, a Thursday tradition. As every Thursday here on the channel, we're counting down my top 5 and occasionally top 10 favorites of something in my collection, or it even could be a musical band, or it could be a Cobra Bat. And today we're breaking the mold from a little wrestling, and we're talking a little G.I. Joe, we're talking a little Cobra, we're talking a little bit Battle Android Troopers, of course, the Bats. Now, the Bats, no strangers since the 80s when they were first invented, and talk about a game changer. They were a game changer in the 80s G.I. Joe playing days, of course, being an army builder, but being a full-on robot created by Dr. Mindbender and the rest of the crew there. Just a great item to add to any G.I. Joe collection when you're playing days. And the cool thing in the cartoon always was with the Bats was you couldn't show Cobra Troopers, Cobra officers, Cobra members getting killed, but the Bats, you could, because they were robots. So it added a little bit more realism to the Joe universe. And it was kind of weird, though. It's like, boy, those Joes sure can't kill those Bats. But the other guys, boy, they just can't hit those guys at all. But they could hit the Bats all day long. Is what it is, I guess. With the Bats, like I said, started in the 80s, and we've had tons of different incarnations over many years. Back into the 25th anniversary, the Figure Subscription Club, one-off sets here and there. There was a Super 7, you got G.I. Joe Classified. There's been many Bats over the years. Pursuit of Cobra, a great jungle bat, I believe, back in the day. A lot of different Cobra Bats, and today we're counting down my 5 favorite. Of course, we're starting at number 5, working our way to number 1. Of course, this is my list. Gonna ask you guys and gals out there, put your list together, put it down in the comments. So without further ado, let's kick it off at the number 5 Cobra Bat of all time. All right, we begin the countdown at number 5 as usual. In the number 5 selection, we go all the way back to the G.I. Joe Figure Subscription Service Club from the 2000s, we'll call that. Now, this was something I was all in. It was a Figure of the Month Club. Like every single month, you got 2 G.I. Joe figures. It would always kind of be a surprise. It would always be a great mail day, like, oh, who's coming? Who's coming today? And of course, I was just a young college student at the time when this started, working my way through life. So it was a little bit expensive to sign up for this bad boy, but it had to be done. And unfortunately, at the time, it was Masters Universe Classics, G.I. Joe Figure Subscription Club, and then you had classic superstars in the mix. That was my Devil's Triangle, my Bermuda Triangle of action figure collecting at the time. I was all in on the classics, of course. Had to pick and choose between the Joes and the He-Man. I went all in on the Joes. I don't regret that decision, but man, I always regretted not having the Master Universe Classics. Later, righted that wrong, as you guys have seen on the channel. But coming in at number 5 comes to us from the Figure Subscription Service right here. It is the Cobra Battle Android Trooper, the Nano Bat. Yes, there was a lot of variants on the Bat, even back in the Figure Subscription Club days here, and I am a on-card completionist of this line here, of course, but definitely looking good. I love the green translucent plastic on this one. Brings it to that next level. I love that it was one of those ones, too. It was like a bomb, a walking bomb. It would just explode on you. It was a nano bat. Just very cool, tweaking the bat motif to a new day and age with some new colors and a new gimmick to it. I always thought this one was really cool. We had like Inferno bats, regular bats in this line. There was a lot of different ones here. But the translucent green against that gray, the multiple heads, the weapons, the beautiful card art, of course the file card on the back, playing all the hits here for me. That's why this Nano Bat Figure Subscription Club comes in at number 5. We've reached the number 4 spot in the countdown, and the number 4 Cobra Bat figure is the latest release of all the Cobra Bat figures. We just recently unboxed this figure about 2 weeks or so ago on the channel. What is time, as we always say. But what are we talking about? We're talking about the Arctic Bat. Yes, the Arctic Bat, and I do have two different examples here. Of course, one great thing about the Cobra Bats, any of the ones that have ever been released, is the mix and matching and the choosing of your own adventure of how you want to display them, what head you want to use, what hand you want to use, battle damage chest, no battle damage chest, a lot of mixing and matching with the Cobra Bats. Now, this one is an interesting one because when it was first announced, I was just like, oh my gosh, another bat, because we'd had the Crimson Guard Bat, we'd had the regular bat, we'd had the Python Patrol Bat, now we're getting an Arctic Bat. It just felt like going back to the well a little too many times. However, once I got this in hand, I said, man, hold the phone. This is good. I don't know if it's as good as the original classified bat, but boy, this one is right up there at the top of the list. As I do like the white coloring against the black here. The snow aspect to it is pretty cool. The head sculpt's absolutely awesome. I really like this one over here. But then we get a whole new one here for the Cobra Bats. Totally different animal here. Looking good, looking definitely different from their other bats we've had over the years. But then the one that really took it over the top, plenty of weapons, tons of stuff like usual, but these chainsaw hands, just absolutely next level. I'm sure Hasbro is saying, oh, that's for when they're in there, you know, the elements out there in the snow and they're chopping trees down to get to their people. No, no, no. These are the bloodthirsty bats in my playing days. They're going to be slicing and dicing people up. There's going to be blood splattered all over that white suit. That's what's going on in Kyle's playing days with his Cobra Bats, and that's kind of how I imagine them to this day. They are taking Joe's heads and limbs. They're the evil bats is what they are, but definitely a cool part of the Arctic mission. Snow Job's got his work cut out for him. There's no doubt about it, and no doubt about it for me, this one's coming in at number 4 in my top 5 list. We've hit the halfway spot in our top 5 Cobra Bat countdown. Do you got your list together? Make sure you put it in the comments down below. And of course, we do these videos every Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the old thumbs up, as I always do say. But coming in at number 3, very similar to number 4. Once again, we go to the G.I. Joe Classified Series line. We go to the OG Cobra Bat. And this one is very cool. Of course, it reminds us a ton of the original Cobra Bat from '87, let's call it. Definitely has a lot of elements of that one, but updated to the classified scale. Of course, the new 6-inch style figures, of course, being the biggest difference between the two, but all the extra weapons, everything else we're accustomed to with our bats. This is nostalgia, something else. I absolutely love this one. I've picked up numerous of these in my collection, as you guys do know. Just one of the all-time great bat figures, number 3 all-time if I'm asking, or if you're asking me. But just definitely cool. Of course, like most bats, the customization on these is awesome. The joints, the extra butterfly shoulders, all the articulation here. You can pretty much do with it whatever you want to do with this bat figure. Just very, very cool. Definitely one of the most popular G.I. Joe classified figures, I would say, so far. And I got to think, we might have some more bats around the corner. I know the Arctic one felt like a step too far, but I would not be shocked to see more in the future. But this one is the one that started it all. It started it all in the 80s, started it all in the classified series, and that's why it comes in at number 3 in my top 5 list. Getting closer and closer to the number 1 spot, but first we got to go to number 2. And number 2 is another recent addition into the Bat catalog here. This time, however, we go to Super 7. We go to the Ultimate Edition Super 7 for the OG Bat as well. Now, our first look at the Cobra Bat from Super 7 was, of course, the comic edition that was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. I want to say about a year ago. Was it a year ago? I think that's probably the case. Now, this one was cool. I really do like this one a whole lot, but when I close my eyes and I think of a bat, this is what I think of. Now, this one had some joint problems, some loose body problems. I'm very thankful that my second one I got of this had no issues at all, and these Cobra Bats had 0 issues at all. But these ones are the ones I absolutely love. I still got another one I still got to unbox, actually, in the package here. But this is the love letter to the 80s that a company like Super 7 brings to us on a fairly regular basis, if you're keeping track of. This is like my toy childhood bat came to 2023 and just upsized himself to everything I would want in this day and age, and everything I wanted back in the 80s with this one. All the color schemes, the interchangeability of the hands, all the cool stuff, all the bells and whistles you get with these Super 7 Deluxe figures. Just absolutely a game changer here. Absolutely love this Cobra Bat. I am a big fan of the Super 7 G.I. Joe line. I've said it numerous times. I get some people don't like it, but ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted G.I. Joe figures that looked like the cartoon. That's what this line is bringing to me. So, man, I am all in. You guys know that. I get it's not for everybody, but it is definitely for me. And this Cobra Bat, absolutely breathtaking. The first time I saw it, I could not believe my eyes. I still get that way from time to time. That's why it is number 2 in my top 5 list. All right, we've hit the number 1 spot in my top 5 Cobra Bat figures of all time countdown. Do you got your list together? Make sure you put it in the comments down below. And of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And remember, every single Thursday, we're doing a countdown video of some kind. Today, Cobra Bats. Tomorrow, My Little Ponies. Who knows what it could be. Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. But our number 1 spot, there was no doubt when I first got this list together what was going to be number 1, and it never wavered, it never changed. And I got to give a special shout out to good friend of the channel, old Gage Octane, Midwest wrestling legend Gage Octane. Got to put that in there, as he did let me borrow his because I do not own this anymore. Of course, I owned it as a kid, but no longer do I. But what is it? It is the OG 80s Cobra Bat 3 3/4. An absolute game changer back in the day. Be it in the cartoon, be it in the action figure line. Of course, an army builder like we'd seen before, but all in on the robots, all in the episodes with Serpentor kind of take over, ushered in the era of the bats. Just an absolute game changer of a figure. Every kid had this in the old playground back in the day. We all enjoyed this one. Love the interchangeable arms, all the kind of fun stuff with this one. Just great times playing as a kid, and nostalgia is such a big deal. It's such a part of this channel, of course. Trying to recapture the simpler times, the magical times when you're a little kid and you don't got the work world bearing down on you every single day. You get to have a little moment of zen, and that's what something like this brings me at the end of the day, because the Cobra Bat, it was a game changer. It was very memorable in my battles, my Joe battles, playing in a nice summer day. You know, you got a nice warm day outside. You got a nice cold glass of lemonade. You got Bozo the Clown and G.I. Joe cartoons playing on the TV there, and you got your Joe universe, and you got your mind putting together the story. Simpler times that we all wish we could go back to. There is no doubt about it there. So this Cobra Bat to me means a heck of a lot. That's why it's number 1. That's why there was no doubt in my mind it was going to be number 1. But what say you? Once again, put your list in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bells. We got videos every single day. Don't forget about the Patreon channel for early access to this video and all the other videos on the channel. Bonus content, exclusive content, you name it, it's over there on the Patreon. And best of all, you do support the channel and all the programming like this. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com, search Kyle Peterson, and don't forget to hit me up on social media. SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for the Cobra Bats, I am Kyle. See you guys all real soon.